And we are live.
Kiddo.
I haven't lost my touch, you see.
Right.
Nice.
Ding, ding,
Stick
ding.
that there.
Although I noticed, let us know if you got a push notification, by the way, because I didn't get one. But Carlos, you said you did.
I haven't looked. I'm
No, but John, you got one.
frantically.
I got one, and it's showing up on the website. So
Okay, fair enough.
Link
We'll
remove.
take that as a win then.
Right, that needs to be that colour, black, and 16. Right, let's bring that story back up, and then that bit there.
Nothing like some last-minute editing on the fly, is there?
I know. I'm nearly done. Right, bold and black, and 16.
nice to bring him up as he's bubbling.
Remove link. There we go.
Ooh, that's better or worse? That's worse.
Remove link.
Ding, ding, ding.
And remove that one. Right, there we go. That's that done. So that is that retro airline out of the week. That is in
yeah,
there.
I need to load that in, don't I? I suppose I should load some stuff in. I guess I have stuff to load in, do I?
Yeah.
Of course I do. Close.
That is
Add input.
7. Save image.
So all the stuff you've given me is in on the NAS drive. Yeah, okay.
Live
Good.
play out.
I must have a look to see if there's an update for that. I haven't updated it for a little while.
C7.
So I've got C1. Any videos I need to know about?
There was hopefully going to be one, but I can't find it on the U of Tube. So
Okay, fair enough.
that'll be it. Negatory.
That'll be whack, whack.
Yeah, unfortunately. Which is that'll be C7.
C4. C7. It's nice, isn't it? We're having our production meeting while oh, nothing in C7, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm literally
Okay. All right.
I'm dumping. Oh, what was that? Why is that saving them as text documents?
Okay.
That's not very helpful.
No, you're right, it's not.
I'm trying to save the picture, but it's saving them as a text document, which is about as good to show on a screen as well.
I mean, it's an unusual approach. Okay, shall we abandon C7 then, shall we?
I shall get a generic picture online for that one, just to make things easier.
Oh, I see it's been put yet.
Right, let's see if this will work. Oh yes, thank you very much. That's better, isn't it?
I don't know. You tell me. What am I doing? Is there one? What's happening?
Yeah, it's now going into C7.
Still says there's nothing in there.
Should be with you now, Mr. Smith.
No. Oh, got it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. Any military pictures I need to load up? Oh crikey! 2 minutes. Too late.
No, there isn't. But
No, okay.
I haven't had a chance to put them on.
Okay.
La 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 la. Oh, that's a nice one. And
running out of time.
C7.
Oh, 30 seconds to go.
There we go. Last one. That one's in the C7 folder now.
Oh, so you've changed. Oh, right.
No, it's the same one. It's just one extra.
I know, but when I've added, that's not how it works. Leave it with me. I will update. Right. Okay. I think we're ready. Are we all ready?
Yep.
Lovely. Okay. We've got T minus 15 seconds to clock.
I hope Andrew's okay outside. All I can hear is banging. Whilst he
never a good sign.
Whilst he takes my car apart.
It's worrying.
He's slightly.
I bet. Yeah. Well, yes, Mima. I know.
Yeah, Mima thinks as well. Yeah, she's
terrible news. Bless her. 17 now. Bless her. Honestly.
10.
Oh, here we go. Good luck, everyone.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 505 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, BA finally gets an app refresh. Never will be pleased with that one. 2 airlines receive a hefty old fine, and students build their own aeroplane. Yes, I know, it's just what I wanted to do when I was at school. In the military news this week, we have a look at the AC-47 Spooky. And also we take a look at the Ukraine as well with the F-16s. So joining me this week, a crossover in the studios, frantically pushing buttons, loading things, and he's there. It's Matt Smith.
I am indeed. Hello. How are we all?
Oh, just very well. Haven't seen you for a while, Matt. How are you?
I know. Carlos was my chauffeur.
I was chauffeur today.
And I think it's the future. I'm not going to lie. Where you're chauffeuring me around everywhere, I like it. I like it. Yeah. Well, you're an adequate driver, so I don't mind being a passenger in your car.
And it was literally door-to-door service.
It was door-to-door service, yes. Yeah. But there's a good reason for that, to be fair, isn't there, at the moment? Because yes, we're a little bit broken at the moment.
But no, good to see you in the studio as always, Mr. Smith. It's safe to say the weather at the moment actually in the UK is far better than it has been for the last few weeks.
I mean, without doubt, this evening it's better than it has. It's the best part of the day this evening. It was a bit grey, like lunchtime-ish, wasn't it? But
yeah,
indeed, yeah.
But no, as you may notice tonight, we are short of a few hosts. Nev is currently sitting in, slumming it in the lounge on his way back to...
I heard a terrible rumour, by the way, that he's travelling in seat 2A on the way home. I think I don't know that
yeah.
I feel like there'll be a strongly worded email sent at some point as a result.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing back from Nev as to quite why that happened, why there was an issue there with perhaps seat 1A was UA or...
Oh, do you think? Oh, right, okay. Yeah. And not just because somebody else got there first, then?
Possibly. Also missing this week, Nick. He's taking a break this week, but hopefully he'll be back next week. But he did put some good stories in the show for the show this week, so thanks to you, Nick. But Super Sub, he's back with us this week on the show. And because we graciously let Andy have this week off as well, he's... this week, but we've got a super sub pilot with us this week back. He's our resident cargo pilot flying the Queen of the Skies. It is, of course, John Jester.
Goedenavond allemaal from the home studios here in the Netherlands.
You're at home,
to be on with you.
Me.
I know. It's the stray thing. It's like evening, normal hours, not middle of the night.
What? I was going to say, we're used to welcoming you on the show, John, normally when it's 2 or 3 a.m. in Japan or Korea.
Yeah,
or...
exactly. Yeah, antisocial. I think is the word you're looking for there.
It's I flew all day. Now I need to sleep at night, and I can't because I'm on the wrong time clock. Yeah. No. So back home for a couple weeks before I go back out on the road mid-month, and enjoying the beautiful weather over here as well. So hello to everybody, and especially you'll see 2 John Jesters in the chat room, and that's not me twice. That's my dad on there as well.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Love that.
Papa John, good to see you in there as well. Yes. But how's the flying going, John? Have you been busy?
I had a weird month. I flew people, which is not my normal thing.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Humans.
Yeah, we do have humans. Yes, we have these 3. Well, actually, technically 5, but 3 normally used 747s that actually have seats installed in them instead of cargo racks and stuff. So I did some military charters back and forth, moving a couple of units to and fro their deployed locations. So I'll leave out of where they were, but took care of them, and it was actually quite fun. I had a nice crew. I could fly the same flight attendants 3 times in a row, so I actually knew what I was doing by the end of the month. It was amazing.
Very good. Always a comfort.
I bet you wish you could load the passengers through the nose, though.
They have a very painful loading process that only the military can create. So,
sure.
Is there a seat 1A though, John?
There is. Actually, up in the nose is a seat 1A down on the bottom. So that's the next. Most of our planes now, that's actually a first class seat, legit first class seat. So pretty comfortable place to go. And usually a couple of the low ranking guys that have done something good, and then the senior enlisted or senior officers are up there. So.
Well, it's good to hear that you've been busy. Anyway, the world of cargo, I don't think ever stops, John. It never stops.
No. It's definitely a 24/7, 365 kind of operation, and all the fun places. So I mean, this time I've been, like I said, bunch of places. Some of them are extremely hot, and some of them were nice. So pretty good. Excellent. I actually did visit England, and I almost got to meet Jonathan Warner last week. So
he took lots of
that
photos.
Was part of my trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some good ones. That was a lot of fun. So
yeah,
I wish I got an opportunity to see him. So it was great. But
yeah, could you try and fly into an airport closer to where me and Matt are, preferably, because RAF Fairford, up in Gloucestershire is kind of like a 4 and a good 4 hour drive for us here.
We have done operations in the Midland Hall, which I think is closer to your direction. But
that's close. Yeah, that
I have zero choices on where people go. So.
Oh really? You don't get to pick your route? How rude.
Yeah, I wish it was that way, but it's been pretty good overall. So.
Well, thanks for joining us, John. Always good to see you on the show. And I'm sure Armando will be gutted he missed you as well on there this week. We're going to say hello to everyone in the chat room this evening. Going to have a look at the top of the list. Who was first in there? John Jester was first in there this week. Mazouz, our local listener, Mazouz is also in there. Richard Adams, hello to you. Neville Bounds is in there wielding his blue spanner of doom until he boards his BA flight home back to the UK. Alan White, hello to you as well. Tanya, hello Tanya, over there in the US of A. Good to see you in there, Tanya. John's in there as well. Hello, John. He's got his blue spanner of doom out as well. Reese, hello to you as well. Bill, hi Bill. Good to see you. Hope you're having a nice evening there. Captain Cruz, wouldn't be the chat room without Captain Cruz there. Alan White, hello to you. Good to see you in there, Alan. Darren Smith, evening from Oslo.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay. Oslo, I bet it's gorgeous. One of those bucket list places I'd love to go to. But so good to see everyone in the chat room this evening. Don't forget, if you're listening to our voices on the audio podcast, we are live every Wednesday night here on YouTube at 7:00, where we bring you a live show, and you can see just how amazing we all look on the big screen.
Right.
But moving on, it is the top of the month. It is obviously the beginning of the month. We're now on to, we're on to the 5th of June already. And it's time to say a big thank you to some very special people indeed. It's those girls and boys and mums and dads and uncles and aunties who do donate to the show each month to help us to bring you what we do each month. So, Richard, good to see you. Thanks for that in Patreon this week. Richard, Derek Smith as well, Bill as well, Sam Dawson, Logan Lynch, Alex Robinson, Dirk S, Sasha Beer, Stephen Ivey, Nicholas Codling, Luis Carrez, Alan White, Stephen Howland, Tanya Wyman, Nicholas Hewitt, Masha, also Ruben Wells, Neil Lamworn, Graham Haley, Jonathan Warner, Jordan Rose, Andrew Wilson, Captain Jeff, Adam Spink, Liz Piper, Jeff Ward, Benjamin Todd, Jenny over in Rome, Schudbacher, and Dr. Steph as well. Thank you to all those who donate through Patreon. Also, big thanks to our PayPal donators as well. Mazouz Karim, our local listener, Mazouz. Craig Eurosco, thank you, Craig. And John Falk as well. John Falk was very generous as well on PayPal. Thank you to you, John, for your very kind donation. And don't forget, if you want to donate to the show and help cover some of the costs that we have here of keeping Matt in cable.
Hey, don't blame me.
Cable Kingdom. You can find out more details at the end of the show and on our website as well. So big thanks again to everyone who supports our show each week. And it's your show as well. You, the listener, it's very much your show. So thank you. So we've got the competition details coming up again in the show with your chance to win that microphone. We'll be drawing that competition next week on the show when Nev is back, because Nev has brought a very nice prize for you to win on the show. So that'll be drawn out of the hat next week. More details on that later. Plus our retro airline ad of the week this week, where we're going to be going back to the 1970s. And Matt hasn't had to tweak the video at all this week.
Oh, have I not? Oh, nice. Okay. Jolly good.
So, time for some commercial news. So, if everyone's ready.
Yes, certainly are.
Let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So the first news story this week comes to us from DutchNews.nl. And this broke, I think it was literally just as we were coming off air last week. This is over in Schiphol, City Hopper, and police have confirmed that the death was a suicide. This was a story that broke, as I said, last week. A man who died at Schiphol Airport after becoming caught up in the motor of a KLM City Hopper had deliberately climbed into the engine, Dutch Border Police said on Thursday last week. The aircraft had just completed the pushback procedure and was about to taxi to the runway when the man climbed onto the aircraft. He worked for a Schiphol operating company, and the investigations revealed that he intentionally climbed into the engine, indicating this was a case of suicide. The police said in a short statement, out of respect for the victim and their loved ones, no further statements would be made. The AD said the incident had a major impact on the crew and passengers who had seen it all happen. And KLM City Hopper flies with small aircraft from Brazilian manufacturer Embraer, which can take between 88 and 132 passengers. And sadly, this isn't the first time we've seen an incident of this nature happen in the last year. And obviously, as us as a whole team on PTK, our condolences to the friends and family of the individual for what was a very sad and upsetting incident. So, obviously, I take it, John, you probably saw this one at an airport. I think you're quite familiar with.
A little familiar with it. Yeah, I reading about this as I was getting ready to come back home, and just kind of very shocking experience. At first, they were very cryptic about the nature of it, and it was kind of like maybe it was a passenger, which I was like, trying to figure out how that would happen. But yeah, it's unfortunately, somebody unstable and in that environment, those engines are unforgiving, and it's a horrible situation. I can't imagine what that crew and those passengers had to go through with that experience.
Yeah, not a very nice thing to have to see or witness from, obviously, as a passenger's point of view from the side of the aircraft. But it's a busy area, though, John, isn't it? During the pushback from the gate, there are obviously ground.
Yeah. The City Hopper operates sort of like on a lot of stands they're not on gates usually, and it's a very compact, wingtip to wingtip kind of setup. They're pushing back multiple aircraft. It's very compact, so not much distance back from the aircraft. So it's people anywhere around that ramp area would have known something had happened, because that engine would have absolutely let loose when somebody was ingested into it. It's not going to take that very nicely, and would have caused probably a pretty loud report around the ramp that would have brought everybody's attention. So
yeah, it's very sad indeed, and it's sad it had to obviously come to this. But yeah, I don't think there's much of an investigation, I suppose, that can be had in regards to this. I suppose now they got down to the root of the cause of it, or the potential cause of it being a suicide. But yeah,
don't get me wrong, it's absolutely awful what's happened here. My personal concern goes mostly to those that witnessed it, to be honest with you, because that's not something that's going to be easy to deal with and process. And again, obviously, for somebody to reach that point where they think that's their only option available to them, but it's the friends, family, and those people who were just going out for a little flight, in the little KLM City Hopper, who had to sort of witness that almost.
And obviously, with that situation, as you know, Matt, you can't just flick a switch and turn the engine off.
Oh no, it's not like it'll just stop, is it? So.
No, so the shutdown procedure, John, is quite a lengthy kind of procedure.
Well, not super lengthy. I mean, at that point, it probably could just pull the engine run switch to the off position. It would shut down. I'm going to guess that engine pretty much catastrophically shut down with the nature of that, because it would have dislodged stuff. Let's put it that way. And the big thing is, one, the passengers, crew. Hopefully, they're getting some critical incident stress program assistance provided to them, and it's going to be continuing stuff, because this is something that's going to probably replay in everybody's heads for months or years.
100%.
And the other thing is, if you're ever feeling this way, you need to reach out and talk to somebody, please. Don't let it get to this far. And it's a epidemic that we've seen only get worse over the years recently, and I think it's very important that everybody supports mental health and support anybody that ever expresses any kind of self-harm, that you really kind of step up and try and take them under your wing and guide them to help. So not much else you can really say about this.
No, moving on. John, you've got the next story, and the video I tried as hard as I could to find a video for this takeoff online. Couldn't find it, but it is on the story with which this is. There's actual video on there, but I could not find it anywhere else. But scary this was, John, I think, for passengers.
Yeah, I got a quick view of the video on the link there, and it's pretty crazy. The story comes from the aerotime.aero. And it's Azul Embraer 195 executes a dramatic takeoff just meters from the runway end. And footage has been shared of an Azul Lijas Airlines Embraer 195, I'm sure I nailed that, executing a dramatic takeoff from São Paulo Congonhas Airport in Brazil. It's the downtown airport, with what appeared to be just meters from the end of the runway. The incident, which is reportedly being investigated by Azul, happened on May 27th, 2024, as the Embraer 195 passenger jet registered Papa Romeo Alpha X-ray. X-ray was cleared for takeoff at around 16:30. Video of the takeoff was captured by Golf Oscar Romeo, with speculation that the aircraft may have been only 100 meters away from the runway end. According to the Aviation Herald, flight Alpha Delta 2610 was departing from runway 35 left for a short flight to Rio de Janeiro's Santos Dumont Airport at the time and proceeded safely to its destination. Azul told Brazilian publication G1 that it opened an internal investigation into the incident. The company's emphasizes that it operates in accordance with national and international safety standards. Its primary value, and the aforementioned flight continued to its destination without any complications, the spokesman for the airline said. I'll kind of just go to it. They did kind of mention here about the engineered material arresting system, which is crushable concrete being at the end of the runway. I would say that would not have helped in this situation, because that's more for stopping a plane that's either landing long or rejecting a takeoff and potentially going off the end. But if you went into that takeoff roll, that would actually hinder you if you're trying to continue to take off. And this airplane did rotate very close to the end. That nose was coming up just prior to the 1,000-foot marks at the end of the runway. That leaves precious little space at the end. The technical requirements, at least on the U.S. standards, is clearing the end of the threshold at 35 feet. They maybe got that. I don't think they did. But it's a weird angle and a shaky video that they had there. I'm going to suspect from watching this that there's either miscalculation or misinput of the takeoff performance numbers. So they either were using too much reduced thrust, or they were put in the wrong flap setting. Something went a bit astray, and I'd say somewhere towards the end of the runway they probably went whoops and probably jammed the power in there to get off the ground. But that's definitely not 35 feet.
Just watching. Glad, thankfully, Matt has managed to find the video. One thing I just noticed on that video as well, John, is the fact that it isn't just an open area, fields at the end of that runway. There are actually quite a number of large, tall blocks of flat buildings.
This airport's right downtown. I've looked at it from above, and it looks not pleasant. And also note that EMAS section is built up on a platform, which promptly drops 30, 40 meters down to the ground. Wow. At the end of it. So, I mean, this one kind of makes your stomach kind of
I bet
fall off the bottom watching that. I'm happy they got out of it. Nice thing is it's an Embraer, it's a new aircraft. They're going to have great FOCO data. Hopefully they pulled that data and are looking into it, and we'll get to the bottom of this internally. And if there's retraining needs to be done, they can hopefully get that settled and not repeat that, because I will guarantee the passengers had no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, which is nice in many ways. You can sort of enjoy the video all the more when you're watching it at home, I guess, in the comfort of your armchair, when you were blissfully unaware anything was going wrong, essentially. So yeah. Darren Smith is saying in the chat room, A320 crashed off that end of runway years ago. TAM were the airline. There you go.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be ugly. And I'm pretty sure at the end of that flight there was a write up for 2 new seat cushions in the front. So I'm fairly certain that those were missing.
Indeed, absolutely.
So, Matt, you've got the next story. This is especially for Nev. Especially for Nev, obviously being a connoisseur of all things BA. And I know that Nev has said previously on the show that he wasn't overly impressed with the app that BA have.
Indeed, yes. They're finally getting a refresh is the short end of the story. Telegraph.co.uk is the source on this one, and the headline is British Airways passengers to get Amazon-style booking app. British Airways passengers are to get Amazon-style app booking, where flights can be secured in just a few clicks in an overhaul of the company's decades-old website. The company's app and website are to be relaunched as part of a £7 billion revamp under BA Chief Executive Sean Doyle, as he scrambles to modernise modernise the flag carrier. Changes will also include new planes, revamped seats and refurbished airport lounges. The replacement website is already being trialled by people wishing to fly from London Gatwick to 3 Italian cities, Bari, Calgary and Catania, plus Montpellier in France and Antalya and in Turkey as well. Feedback has been positive, giving BA confidence to go ahead with a full rollout. Mr. Doyle told The Telegraph at the International Air Transport Association Airline Summit in Dubai. He said that we've done upgrades before, but this one is very different. It's embracing technology in a way we haven't done since the dot-com boom and looking ahead at future-proofing the business. The website's been around for 22 years. We were leaders in it I think it has seen a refresh in the 22 years. I don't think it's the original platform. We were leaders in it many years ago and we'd improved it down through the years, but we've been falling behind and we need to catch up and leapfrog the rest. So we've scrapped the old one and built a new one from the start. You'll begin to see the new one rolled out for the customer as we get into the second half. It's simple and it's easy to use. The resilience is better and it's more convenient. Mr. Doyle said the upgrade will seek to take an omni-channel approach, with people getting the same familiar experience via the new app on BA.com or when viewing the website on their mobile phone. The aim will be to match the convenience of the 3 clicks and you can check out approach of online retailing pioneered by the likes of Amazon, he said. People taking a family holiday are likely to continue to see the website, continue to use the website, but the app should become the primary resource for those taking regular trips such as business travellers. Mr. Doyle said the most important thing about an app is that the repeatable processes that the people rely on time and time again work well. The digital upgrade will also allow travellers to undertake every single transaction online, compared with around 70% today, he said. That will include the ability to rebook, claim a refund and also to cancel flights. British Airways will seek to avoid the pitfalls experienced by US ally American Airlines, where a new system aimed at maximising direct bookings and reducing resilience on intermediaries generated less revenue than the expected owing to its complexity. The slip-up, which hurt late bookings from corporate travellers, sent American Airlines shares down 16% last Wednesday and led to the exit of its chief commercial officer. In tandem with the digital makeover, British Airways is upgrading in-flight entertainment, introducing a new cabin in its fleet of Airbus A320 series short-haul planes, its workhorse on European routes, and opening new airport lounges in Dubai, Miami, Lagos and Seattle. A revamped first-class cabin will also be introduced on BA's A380 Super Jumbos later this year, while about half of the value of the modernisation plan, or £3.5 billion, will be spent on new planes.
Tell you what, 7 billion quid, they could have got you in, Matt, to do the whole refresh for the website, but it cost them half the...
No, and the only reason why I wouldn't want to go anywhere, I've done my fair share of e-commerce sites, shall we say, and the only reason I wouldn't want to go anywhere near BA's system is I know from a very reliable source that the flight is built using about 4 different Oracle-based platforms that the website will essentially have to... So unless they've redone all of that... my worry is this. I don't know. I might be wrong because if they have finally done what everybody's been whinging about for years and years and years, and upgraded the back office element to this, essentially this is just I
don't think it looks that bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look any different to most of it. I think what works. Sorry, do that again because obviously the camera was on. It's
a simple press a button and.
Oh, that's a sad sight, Carlos. No upcoming flights. Oh.
No, I know.
But as I say, my worry is if it's going to have to try and interface with this. With the antiquated backbone, if you like, that was, to be honest with you, part of the problem with the thing. So if they've changed the back office, then there's a chance this could work. If they're just putting basically a new front end and a new GUI on the same, frankly, knackered back end, then I'm apprehensive as to whether it'll work. I look forward to being proved wrong.
Darren's just saying in the chat room the BA app is not very good. He says when he flies with his son,
pants is all right. You can say pants. It's all
BA
right.
app is pants. When I fly with my son, the app will only ever show one boarding pass. Not much good for two people. Now, on the flip side, when I've travelled with Dad last month to Malta with the Ryanair, now their app, because I booked both, obviously for me and my dad's flights together. You can just swipe across, and both boarding passes are there on your phone with the Ryanair app. Obviously, you can't do that with the BA one.
The BA app is rubbish. I'll say it. It's absolute rubbish. I've used it a bunch of times when I was commuting back and forth or going to relocate. It's just a glorified website that is not even that great. And when you compare it to some of the other companies out there that have good apps, it's just horrible.
No, it's not a great app, is it? I mean, it definitely needs improving, as I say, but my biggest concern is on the story, on the face of it, it sounds great. It looks like, some well-required changes on the cards. I'm just a bit worried they're just going to shove it onto an already knackered back end.
Well, I mean, I think the three oldest computer systems of the world are Sabre, Apollo, Sabre, Unimac, and Apollo, which is Sabre was American, Unimac and Apollo were both United systems, and they still use that as their backbone. And it's just ridiculous. And they're all afraid of doing that whole migration. And yeah, I get there's a huge risk for it. But eventually they really need to pull the Band-Aid off and go to what could be considered a modern, maybe in the last 20-year database system to get up to levels that we need nowadays with the way that e-commerce works. So.
No, indeed. Interestingly enough, Richard and Owen, nice to have you in the chat room, Owen. Hello. Are sort of chatting, basically saying don't think they've cloudified it yet. If not, then they're doomed. And Owen's actually saying they are actually upgrading to cloud now, so perhaps that's what they're doing before they launch the main site. So perhaps there is hope for change after all. Fingers crossed. I look forward, as I say, I'm very much looking forward to being proved wrong. Darren Smith is saying, I think the British nuclear submarine fleet is worse. They still use Windows 95 based systems, scarily. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I don't know if I dare admit this out loud, the whole radio station that Carlos and I work behind is 100% completely run on Windows 7, believe it or not. The whole platform, and I say, touch wood, he said he's now touching wood very quickly. I don't have anywhere near the trouble with the main computers, which keep the radio station on air, than I do the new ones, the Windows 10s and the 11s.
Windows 7 was brilliant.
It was.
I'm still running Windows 7 on the desktop I'm on right now. So.
Absolutely. I was gutted when Chrome took away their support of Windows 7, because it was essentially, because you say we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, John? You virtually do everything through a web browser these days anyway. There's very little scenario where you I mean, you don't even need like the Word X. You don't even need the Office suite anymore. That'll all work in a browser. It's the way forward. It's Owen's saying apparently they're still using Sabre. Sorry, it wasn't Oracle. My apologies. I thought it was an Oracle-based system, but I might be wrong. Thank you, Alfie. Yes, I agree. Windows 7 and XP were the best. Absolutely. Windows 7 over XP for me personally, just because it gave you all the extra bells and whistles. But XP, in terms of serving as a server platform, you'd never beat it. And it was always so fast. But anyway, there we go.
And welcome to the Tech Talking UK podcast.
All right, okay, right. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I hope they do improve. I mean, I've the only time I've ever had a problem with the BA booking system was actually using the one in the browser, actually online with a laptop. I've never had any issues with the app, but anyway, from one issue to another large other one that, touch wood, I'm pleased to say I've never had issues with, and it comes from the express.co.uk, and it's the top 10 airlines that are most likely to lose your luggage. Yeah. So over 7 million pieces of luggage were mishandled between 2021 and 2020. 7 million?
Ooh.
I mean, everyone's worst travel nightmare is arriving at your destination only to find your baggage hasn't travelled with you, which was the reality for over 7 million people between 2021 and 2024. Research by luggage shippers experts mybaggage.com analysed data from the US Department of Transport Air Travel Consumer Report, including the total number of bags, wheelchairs and scooters put on planes, which were then compared to reports of these items being mishandled. American Airlines has mishandled the most bags of any airline in America with 1,750,009 reports. This is 8.71 bags per 1,000 emplaned. The airline is the biggest in the world when it's measured by scheduled passengers carried and has 960 mainline aircraft, the second largest fleet in the world. The sheer size of the airline means it may come as no surprise that it places number one in the ranking. The second airline mishandling the most baggage is Envoy Airlines. This American regional airline operates over 1,000 flights daily to 150 destinations with over 27 million total luggage emplaned, and 224,236 were reported as mishandled, which equates to 8.25 per 1,000 bags emplaned. The third to mishandle the most is Republic Airways. The airline is responsible for mishandling 194,189 pieces of luggage out of the 27,750,643 bags emplaned, equal to 7.01 for every 1,000. Nearly 500 of the mishandled luggage were wheelchairs or other forms of mobility vehicles. Alaska Airlines, the fifth largest across America and Canada, measuring by the number of passengers, with over 60 million bags emplaned across the years analysed, and 402,781 were mishandled, which is 6.69 per 1,000. And finally, the fifth company to have mishandled the most luggage is United Airlines. It's one of the biggest in the world for destinations served, flying to over 300 places worldwide. In doing so, over 144 million bags have been emplaned. Of those, 932,000, that's just staggering, were reported as mishandled. This includes, are you ready for this? 3,349 wheelchairs or other forms of mobility vehicles.
Oh.
That's
less than ideal.
Further on down the list, PSA Airlines were sixth, JetBlue in at number 7, SkyWest Airlines in at number 8, Delta in at number 9, and at number 10 was Spirit Airlines with losing luggage. So,
now, I have a controversial comment to share with you that, yes, I know, Alfie, it's just awful. The Captain Cruise... Captain Cruise, Alfie, do you mind? I can't get a word in edgeways. Captain Cruise is saying airlines don't lose luggage, airports do.
Yes.
I mean, does he have a point? Is it a bit much to be putting this on the airline over the baggage handlers? Because in a lot of the
airports... airlines are the baggage handlers or their contractors, so it's the airline's fault. I have experience from this multiple levels, both as the passenger losing my bags, the person responsible for the bags being lost as a ramp manager, a ramper and all that. And these numbers are bad. What I noted was that out of those top airlines, almost all of them are American Airlines regional or American Airlines itself, or Republic does United, so it's as well as American, and so they're responsible. I don't understand how they lose these bags or how they don't know where they're at, because they scan everything. When I was furloughed and went back to being a ramp manager in Chicago, when I first took over the job, we had a 31 per 1,000 missed bag total assigned to my airline. And then they gave us scanners as they said, well, we needed to figure out why we were losing so many bags. And what we found out was we weren't losing the bags. Mainline was losing the bags. But we got blamed for it because we were the last carrier. So whoever's the last carrier to fly the bag or supposed to fly the bag is the one who gets blamed. So that's why you see all these regional carriers on there, is because they probably were the last leg.
They're the end point, aren't they?
And the end point, and then they get blamed for it because a mainline didn't deliver it on time. And that was what I kept finding with the United, was they were dumping the bags onto a sort belt in the main terminal, which was a mile away from the gate, 10 minutes before departure. So it never even got to the sort to where we needed to have it until half an hour after the plane left. And this is kind of inexcusable in this day and age. With the amount of technology, they should be able to know where the stuff is, track it, positionally be aware where the bags are, every piece of equipment. I mean, I don't know. They just need to invest in equipment to do this right.
I'm guessing
And
that's
training.
an issue you have, John, doing the kind of work that you do.
I mean, I get dealt with. I have to deal with this all the time because I get repositioned commercially. I've had in the last year, I think I've had my bag lost at least temporarily 3 times, or damaged. Yeah, I mean, it's like usually 6 hours later kind of deal. It shows up, but it's still ridiculous when you think about this. And it wasn't like I had short connections. It's just they didn't transfer it properly when we went through a hub. That's usually where the big issue is. When I first started working for United, I worked at Dulles Airport, which was a hub, an international hub, and we would get all these flights in. And one of the big things that was very important to make things work was the bags had to be loaded up properly on board the airplane with segregation for each area where the airplanes were going to be usually park at, so that you could get the different zones of bags offloaded and on their way as fast as possible. And what would happen sometimes is they wouldn't bother to do that, and then you're totally, screwed, to put it bluntly, because you didn't have enough time to sort all the bags, get them off on a 30-minute connection when you got 200 bags coming off an airplane. And so you'd see that kind of stuff. But, nowadays things should be, it's not like this is the first day we've been doing this. It's very disappointing.
Mm. So moving on, John, you've got the next one, and it's back to Europe for this story, but another not good news for these 2 airlines. Yeah,
so this one comes from inews.co.uk. Ryanair, EasyJet, and Vueling fined 150 million euros for making passengers pay for cabin bags. Nice. Budget airlines have been fined millions of euros for charging customers extra money to travel with cabin luggage and choose their seats. Ryanair, EasyJet, Vueling, and Volote have been collectively fined 150 million, around 130 million pounds, by Spain's Consumer Rights Ministry following a year-long probe. The fine is the largest ever penalty the ministry has issued for practices against customers. An official breakdown of the fine is yet to be released, but it is understood Ryanair has received the largest penalty according to Spanish consumer rights organization FACUA. The ministry launched the probe in June 2023 to investigate whether budget airlines were forcing customers to pay more for tickets than previously advertised after adding additional cost. Customers had previously complained to the government department about airline practices being unfair, the ministry spokesman told the expat newspaper Olive Press. After they were asked to pay more for larger bags that exceeded a specific size to print their boarding passes at the airport and to choose where they wanted to sit. An official breakdown of the fine is yet to be released, but it's understood Ryanair received a large penalty. I think we just read that already. So this is nice. Good. It's one of the things I disliked. I've always heard about these stories about how it works on Ryanair and EasyJet with all these extra fees, and you start adding it up, it starts getting really close to the cost of just flying a regular mainline carrier, and people think they're getting a great deal, but oftentimes they could just fly a regular carrier and get an equal deal or within a few quid of a deal for A to B kind of flight, and maybe get better service too. So yeah, it would be straight up with their numbers. I think that's the big thing I have.
Yeah, people are moaning about a lot about Ryanair and stuff, the fees and the fines that you get or penalties you have. But in the booking process, and when you print your boarding passes out, because I always print them out as well, because I do like a hard copy to carry, it does say on there, that there's certain things you need to do to ensure you don't get a fine or, get to the gate and incur extra charges. And it's in plain bold text on the tickets and on the booking process that you do need to print or, have the boarding passes ready to be scanned when you get there. So, yeah. I mean, the charges are extortionate. There's no two ways about it. But when you do look at some of the flights to go within Europe from the UK, you can get some. If you just want to travel with a man bag, as I like to call my little side satchel I got, or a small bag, you can get a cheap flight with Ryanair with just doing it that way. And there is a big difference as well between days. I was looking today at some flights to go back to Malta this September just for a couple of days, and the difference between flying on a Friday or flying on a Saturday was quite substantial. I'll be talking like nearly £100 difference between the price of a flight.
Yeah, I think it's definitely plays a role into things. And I know there was a story that was run on CNBC a long time ago about the pricing system for American Airlines, and they took a standard American Airlines MD-88 flight from somewhere to Dallas, and there's 170 seats maybe on the plane. There were like 80 or 90 different fares on that flight, all based on different metrics that were being applied, and that's there's always playing something one way or the other. Have a lot of people looked at the flight recently, then they up the fares real quickly, and then it's one of those things, and they just take a different tack where they're just charging more. Personally, I like JetBlue, Southwest, where it's just there's three prices, that's it. You're done. You pick A, B, or C, and there's really nothing extra to go with that. So.
Now, Matt, you've got the next story, and it's something we've covered on the show a few times, but there's another airport in the UK which is going to be easier to fly through soon.
Apparently so, yes. It remains to be seen whether that is the case. BBC.co.uk is the source for this one. And the headline, airport shares new hand luggage rules. From the 14th of June, passengers will be able to carry 330 mils containers through security at Bristol, an increase from the previous 100 mil rule. Travellers will also be able to leave liquids, laptops and electronics inside their baggage when they walk through security. Chief Operating Officer Graham Gamble said that the new state-of-the-art technology will reduce customer stress and inconvenience. Bristol Airport has invested more than £11.5 million on the security equipment following the government updating travel rules. Ministers set a summer deadline for airports to install the new technology. The need for 100 ml liquids to be placed in clear plastic bags and removed from hand luggage will no longer be required, Mr. Gamble said. The new process delivers a much more customer-friendly security operation using the latest technology and providing enhanced screening, allowing customers to keep personal items in their hand luggage. Baggage rules vary between airports, so passengers have been urged to check before travelling. An airport spokesperson has said the rule, which meant all liquids over 100 ml had to be scanned separately, was introduced in 2006 as a temporary measure after a terrorist plot was uncovered. Now, my question I have on this, all very good, excellent. Hopefully, as you say, the summer deadline to have all the major airports, which I presume includes Heathrow, Stansted, Luton, all of the, all the London airports, especially. is this in place in Europe yet? So say, because like it's all very well saying that you can have 300 and 330 mils. So that's your average
can of Coke.
Well, it's your average can of Coke or your deodorant can and all that kind of thing. So you can take your normal size deodorant through now and stuff like that. But when I arrive in let's say Charles de Gaulle Airport, maybe that's not a good example because it's quite a big airport. But when I get there, can I only bring home 100 mils because their equipment hasn't been updated?
I could take this one. The answer is he'll be in the bin.
Yeah, right. No, fair. Okay. Simple as that. So, I mean, this is lovely, but of course, unless it's a worldwide change and everybody agrees to do it within a certain date, unless you get really lucky and say you are going to Charles de Gaulle, and for example, Charles de Gaulle has already implemented this system, which means that with the appropriate technology, that means you can carry a 330 mil thing. You still you can go through Bristol or was it No, one of the London ones has done it, hasn't it? Was it
London City Airport?
City Airport, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can take 330 mils through there, but depending on where you're flying back from, it may not do you any good anyway. So there we go. So I mean, yes, great news that we're sort of starting to improve things, but
I mean, the technologies that they're using, the CT scanners, I think is what they're using for these, where they can get a more understood view of what's in there and what type of material it is, if it's biological or whatever. And the technology is great, but it's highly expensive to have those scanners put in place. You see them hardly anywhere. I happen to be in a small city and they actually had a new terminal and they did have the new equipment. So it was pretty impressive there. But, most places you go through, like Heathrow, is the reason I carry a third bag solely because I kept going through there and they wanted to chuck everything out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to Africa. I really kind of need that mosquito repellent, please. Nope. I'm like, I'm in uniform. I'm a crew member. Nope. All tossed in the bin. So, I just checked the Heathrow site. They're still on 100 milliliters. I know the Netherlands, they've started not requiring you to take the stuff out. Still see them every once in a while take stuff out and toss it. Germany takes it out, toss it. Frankfurt, I can guarantee that. I've seen that just recently. So, until the rest of the world comes up to this and they all catch up.
Oh. Okay. Owen's saying I went through Stansted a few days ago. Granted, it was crew security, but it was nice not to have to unpack anything. Have they got that? Have they got that at Stansted then?
Not when I last went through last month.
No.
It was
unless it's crew, unless it is their crew side. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably the crew side. We do get the one benefit of having a little bit less tearing into our bags there.
Yeah. It's I was just reading the comment, actually. Richard Adams has just popped up. I'll bring it up on the screen. There we go. Richard Adams is saying, I think the delays at Heathrow were caused by the need to strengthen the floors because the scanners were so heavy.
Oh, I see.
Which I think we covered that a few weeks back on the show, was that, these scanners are not light bits of equipment.
Well, I mean, essentially, if they are CT scanners, it's not just a case of you haven't got to hold one, have you? You've got to hold one for each security lane, essentially, haven't you?
Yeah. Next story. Going over to Airbus for this one, and preparation for the A321XLR. Now, we've talked in the past about this whole thing of flying long haul on a narrow-bodied single-aisle aircraft, but the A321XLR ongoing certification and flight test campaign is now in its final stages, as well as debriefing after the airline's recent route-proving flights. Attention is also being focused on ensuring that the first operators will have everything they need and they will need in terms of airworthiness, compliance and operational support on day one. This includes especially the technical documentation, the strategic spares and on-site expert support to enable the airline's smooth operations with its longest range Airbus single-aisle airliner. During the last 4 years, teams from Airbus Customer Service Department have been implanted into the A321XLR's development team to ensure that the all-in-service feedback is embedded in the aircraft design and its new components are assessed for potential in-service issues. This close working as a part of a multifunctional team aims to drive the maturity of both the aircraft and the program supporting procedures to maximise the availability of aircraft once in airline service. The team continues beyond the delivery of the first A321XLR to launch operators. This approach will ensure the airlines are well supported with updates, technical updates, documents, and availability of spare parts throughout the globe, as well as training and day-to-day operational support. One of the biggest challenges for the type certification and entry into service of any new aircraft off the production line, and now for the A321XLR, is for its manufacturer to provide a full set of accompanying documents known as the Instructions for Continued Airworthiness, or ICAs. The documents ensure the type certification and airworthiness standard is maintained through each of the aircraft's operational lives. They form the basis for the operator's approved maintenance data. For example, airframe ICAs typically provide information about mandatory and recommended overhaul periods. ICAs often list the required special tools and may also include instructions on how to use the tooling. Another key part of the maintenance procedures, example, for the removal and installation of parts and equipment. There's also engine ICAs, which include overhaul instructions for which the respective engine OEM is responsible. And design changes have been introduced with the A321XLR to enhance its long-range capabilities. These include new main landing gears, new wing flaps, and the new integrated long-range rear center fuel tank, or RCT, requiring a new fuel system and a new high-capacity water and waste system, and also a new extended belly fairing and higher maximum takeoff weight. All of those will involve changes to their related ICAs. To focus on one example of these, the XLR's new extended belly fairing design. Extended belly fairing has been introduced following the new requirements from airworthiness authorities, with the new material to increase protection to the RCT in specific crash scenarios, such as belly landings. And in contrast, the belly fairing on today's A321neo, which contains no RCT, primarily serves as an aerodynamic shape. What do you think then, John? Obviously, you fly something slightly larger than the A321, but how would you feel about travelling as a passenger in a single-aisle aircraft across from the UK to the US?
I actually already do it from Amsterdam to New York all the time on JetBlue. So, yeah, it's not my favorite option. JetBlue is really nice just because of the aircraft is very comfortable, but
Oh,
sorry, my iPad's being uncooperative. the ICTs that all drives maintenance practices, and it helps the airlines create their manuals for their maintenance programs. This is something I actually got involved in when I was furloughed. I was in a maintenance quality assurance position where we would do inspections of the people doing the work, and it was very important to follow this kind of stuff. And when things got screwed up, then that's where you started seeing problems on airplanes. And it's very important for the manufacturer to support this setup and the monitoring of the reliability of the aircraft, so they can make these adjustments to maximize the time that the airplanes could be flying and not in the maintenance. So them creating this stuff and getting it all put up ready to go before the first plane rolls out and is flying and have good numbers, that's really going to be helpful for them. The big aspect of things with maintenance is, it's a big cost driver when you have to take the airplane out of service and do these inspections, especially these larger inspections, the C checks. Usually are broken up, multiple C checks, but this can involve tearing the whole airplane up.
nope. This microphone's gone again. Now, I know JetBlue fly the 320. I think it's a 321 that JetBlue fly across the.
Sorry, I totally lost you against my uncooperative iPad again. Keeps connecting and disconnecting to my headset here.
Yeah.
The what were you saying there? Something about JetBlue?
Yeah, it's the 320. Is it the 321 that JetBlue fly from the UK to the US now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 321. I believe it's an LR. So it has basically the first half, everything in front of the wing is their Mint suite.
And it's just dropped again. Yeah, the Mint suite, which is quite nice. It's the one we can't afford.
Yeah, I mean, actually, relatively speaking, they're pretty cheap. Let me get the iPad turned off here, so we'll get back in this. The price when you compare it to, say, British Airways or to American or any other ones, it's usually a third less, if not more, half less. So I've actually seen like a business class for 1,600 euros when Delta was doing 1,600 euros for coach. So,
Wow.
and it's a better product, I think, honestly. If you ever want to go across to the States, if you can go to New York or Boston and check out JetBlue, because honestly, it's a nice ride. I mean, it's slower than a wide body. So the flight time will be a little bit longer, half hour, 45 minutes longer.
Mm.
But in general, it's a nice ride. Even in the coach, the seat pitch is much larger than normal seat pitches on a 321, certainly compared to most of the European carriers. I usually have inches in front of my knees, which I don't have on any European carrier. Like if I'm on a Lufthansa or KLM or TAP for sure, I'm just crushed back there.
Yeah,
and on that JetBlue flight, I have legroom. So, and you get to choose your own meal, the whole 9 yards. It's kind of pretty nice.
Now, Matt, you've got the next story. I love the headline for this one, so I'm looking forward to you reading this.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Here we go then. The headline is, it's from 9news.com.au, so you know it's going to be extreme. I think that's probably the best way to say it. Any Australian publication. Man arrested after allegedly knocking over crew member while naked mid-flight. Oh, okay. There's a little picture on here, but it's been greyed out. It disappeared. Is there a reason for that? Or
I don't know.
Oh, how disappointing. The man allegedly knocked over a crew member to the floor during Virgin Australia flight, which had left Perth around 7:21 p.m. The flight turned around and returned to Perth Airport around 7:56 p.m, where federal police arrested the man and took him into hospital for assessment. An anonymous caller called 3AW's rumour file earlier. The passenger started running up the aisles during the flight. 2 air marshals had to restrain and handcuff the individual until they landed. He told the programme. A Virgin Australia spokesperson confirmed that the Victor Alpha 696 flight returned to Perth due to a disruptive passenger on board. On arrival in Perth, the aircraft was met by the Australian Federal Police and the disruptive guest was offloaded, the spokesperson said. The safety of our guests and crew is our top priority, and we sincerely apologise to the guests impacted. It's understood the majority of passengers were rebooked onto flights to Melbourne. The man remains in hospital and is expected to be summoned to appear before Perth Magistrates Courts on the 14th of June. Police said the charges he will face are yet to be finalised. Bit of a strange one, that one, isn't it? I mean, it's knocking the crew member to the ground, isn't it? That's the big issue, really. I mean, if he wants to be a nut job and run up and down the aisles not wearing anything, then more fool him. But only an idiot would take on a cabin crew member. To be honest with you, that's where you think, yeah, just throw the book at him. Sorry.
This is yet another reason why John is so pleased that he flies cargo most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was waiting for the drug and alcohol part of it to
absolutely
come up, because fairly certain the follow-up story will involve drugs or alcohol, but there's no reason to be acting like that. And I'm glad to hear that they had some sort of law enforcement on board, air marshals, whatever, that took care of the situation and secured the person to keep them from hurting anybody else. But
I mean, forgive my naivety here. I assume that perhaps it's a where was it heading to? Thank you, crew member. Thank you. Go away, Richard.
To Melbourne, yeah, Melbourne.
Oh, so it wasn't that far. Forgive my naivety here, then, but is there not a reason? Because it's not like it was, like it was flying to London, like direct or something like that. But it was over and done with in less than an hour. I'm curious as to why they couldn't take off again. What have I missed?
Well, Perth of my geography is horrible. I'm fairly certain is way on the west coast, and it's a big country.
Okay.
And so going on to Melbourne would be a fair haul for them. And maybe the crew was just out of time that they could keep operating.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the evening here, just in the evening, I would think maybe they were doing this as a turn. And they didn't have enough time after turning around and going back to
true,
to
right.
their day.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, because so sorry, I'm making an assumption this was their first sector, but of course, if they're doing internal flights,
it could be multi.
It could, yeah. No, quite right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was having a moment. I should know better than that. I do apologise.
Now, John, you've got the last one in the news this week, and obviously, John, you've got young kids and stuff, and I bet this is something you'd be quite proud of your children if they'd done this at school.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love this one. It's from the bbc.co.uk. Barnstaple students build full-size working plane. A group of students have built their own full-size working airplane. Engineering students from Devon worked with mentors to construct a microlight aircraft from scratch. The Build-A-Plane project based at Petrock Further Education College in Barnstaple was carried out during weekly sessions and during holidays. One of the students involved, Tilly Baker, told BBC Radio Devon it was incredible to take to the sky in the airplane she and her fellow students had created. Miss Baker flew with a pilot and was able to briefly take the controls of the aircraft, which is a microlight 3-axis plane. Speaking to BBC Radio Devon after the 40-minute flight on Monday, the 17-year-old said, "It was just out of this world. When we took off, I just felt like literally my jaw dropped, and that was basically it. Like the whole flight, it was incredible. I think the whole experience, knowing that I helped build it, and the feeling of taking off as well, and being off the ground and having that feeling, you can't describe it. It's amazing." The project team has been made of students aged 16 to 18 who are doing trade, T-level and A-level courses, working alongside mentors, including experienced pilots and aircraft builders. Ms. Baker said the weather during the flight was glorious with views across Export City. All right, I need a better cough button here. She added that prior to the flight, last time she had been sitting in the plane was when she was installing and testing the radio and headphones. I'm going to bail out here for a second to have a coughing fit and let you all take over.
Indeed. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's yeah.
It's something we never got the chance. I definitely never got the chance to do this at school. To be fair, if I'd have been given the option to build an aircraft or a microlight at school, I probably would have jumped at the chance. I think kids nowadays have the option and the potential to do far more when they're learning in education now within the UK, and especially with the way the industry is at the moment, with the shortage of pilots, engineers, and not just pilots, but all around the industry, shortage of various people. It's a good idea, I think, to get young people, especially 17-year-olds who are just coming towards the end of their education at school, to get into aviation, especially engineering and building. I think it's a great idea.
Oh, this is awesome. I'm not dead yet. So,
good news.
Yeah, this is amazing. Cool. This is a cool story. I love this kind of stuff. Having done Civil Air Patrol, working with cadets and young people that are interested in this kind of stuff, to see it's being done at school, T-level, A-level, I'm assuming it's trade and maybe academic or wherever an A-level is. I'm not familiar with that. But it's great to see them working together, putting some, actually hard work, seeing the airplane coming together, and then seeing it fly, getting to fly in it. I mean, wow, what a way to get somebody kicked off on their career, potentially in the world of aviation or just science, engineering, anything like that, any kind of STEM stuff. So it's a great way to put them on a great foot going forward that they've accomplished something like this.
Mm. Yeah. Would you like to have done something like this at school, Matt, or is that you're more of the IT tech kind of person?
I must admit, it's one of those where you sort of think it all seemed very glamorous to sort of do things that I did at college and university and all that kind of thing. And then I'm thinking, why on earth didn't I train to be a plumber? Or why on earth didn't I train to be a car mechanic? Because the things that cost me the most in my life now, you just think if I'd done the right sort of training, I could absolutely, so it's all very well doing the technical things. And yes, my technical background certainly has its purpose in life and helps me with some things. But, I think in hindsight, maybe a plumber or a car mechanic might have saved me a lot more money overall.
Yeah.
Certainly kept me a lot fitter and healthier, I'm sure.
So that's where we bring the commercial news segment to a close. Time to go back. Now we're starting to come to a draw towards the end now of our series of videos from the Drone Summit over in Dublin. This week, we're going to be seeing Colm, who's an airline captain, an expert at training, testing and licensing drone pilots for 75 kilos for the private and public sector. He uses provides routes to IAA-approved licensing for prospective drone pilots and supports clients with shared usage airspace assessments and implementing ConOps, operations manuals and SOPs. He also focuses on resolving areas of conflict, overlapping and risk, deploying bespoke safety and compliance procedures that meet IAA approval. So this week we joined Matt Clutterbuck, who spoke to Colm about his company's work and also his personal journey into drone operations and training.
So I'm here with Colm from U-Space Aero, and he's going to give us some information about his company. So Colm, thanks very much for joining us. Tell us a bit about your company.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, well, Colm is my name. It's Colm O'Donnell, and I run U-Space Aero. It's a company I started a couple of years ago, and followed a long and lengthy career in the aviation world. So in the business itself, it's involved in a number of areas within the drone world. In particular, we do training. We're a recognised training entity with the Irish Aviation Authority. We also are experts at compliance. The whole of compliance in the drone world's got quite complicated, particularly at the high end and around some of the high-end projects. So we're specialists in that, and we help our clients in that area. And we also do general consulting on some of the high-end projects that are out there with the developments in drone. And we also, on top of that, we have a couple of teams that help us out with different operations. So, for example, we do survey operations, and we've also been involved with a number of organisations, for example, in around CUAS within the airport environment, supporting that.
Excellent. When you go back to the compliance part, I can imagine that that's probably one of the trickiest parts of the industry, because although we have overseeing bodies, you see now, particularly in the news and lots of publications, each country is now coming up with its own rules despite whoever their authority is. So that must be really tricky, particularly advising people based on their location what the different rules are and how the compliance works.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I mean, I've been saying to people for some time, probably going back a year or two, that actually we can expect some degree of chaos with this. Probably, I would say, certainly this year and probably next year as well, as things unravel. So up until a couple of years ago, really, the rules were quite slim, shall I say. Each country had their own set of rules. Now we have the European set of rules, which started out with the rules and some guidance at around about 200 pages. That document now, with all the compliance material, is actually up to about 500 pages. And the reality is all the aviation authorities, whilst they're being really helpful and doing everything they can to support the drone industry, they have to go and work out what is okay to do and what's not okay to do and how to get things into compliance. So there's a lot of that going on, and in the background that's what they're doing. They're also slowly but working together to resolve some of the issues that inevitably come up once a new set of regulations come into place.
Yeah,
that's happening at the moment.
And I can imagine the trouble for the authorities has been that the rapid growth of the industry has overtaken or got ahead of the authorities. So the technology has moved on, the access to drones has moved faster than the authorities can keep up.
Yeah, I think that is true as well. And as I say, the issue for them, you put your authority head on, it's implicit for them that they ensure compliance. And when some of the understanding of the regulations is still uncertain, and to be honest, there were some consequences to the regulations which really hadn't been anticipated. It's inevitable with a new set of regs. They're having to spend time moving fairly slowly and carefully to make sure that they're not authorising processes and procedures and operations that really aren't actually in compliance.
Yeah, and they have to obviously try and foresee where the next stage of drones is going as well.
Exactly, yeah, and as you rightly say, things are moving so rapidly. I mean, a slight aside, but I like to think about really drones really have been around as we know them in this industry since, let's say, around about 2010. And in that time, it has grown rapidly. And an example I use is that in that time, we've actually moved to flying a drone on Mars. That happened some time ago. That's how rapidly this business has evolved. If we think about the manned aviation side of things, I mean, the Wright brothers flew the very first heavier-than-air aircraft only just over 100 years ago. Yeah. And in that time, aviation has developed. But in that 10, 15 years, drones moved on at a rapid pace. We're now looking at UAM. We're looking at urban air mobility, as it's known, with potentially drones carrying people. Albeit initially they'll have a pilot on board. Ultimately, eventually, they will be automated machines and will operate in the airspace.
Yeah, and there's going to be some really interesting new uses for UAVs as well. We were talking to someone earlier that was saying they were doing some tests with, it was an animal organ, but they were flying that to a destination, and then at the other end they would test it for the possibility of actually transporting human organs quickly from hospital to hospital, which could make a huge difference, couldn't it?
Yeah, and in fact, the idea of drones supporting the medical industry or the health industry, that's been actually around for some time. So you'll hear plenty of examples of drone companies that are developing procedures and processes and aircraft that are able to fly, as you say, perhaps human organs, or another one is flying blood samples, or perhaps test samples that need to get to a hospital to be evaluated. I know one team that did an exercise actually in Greenland, and it was quite a long, lengthy way, but they were able to fly their drone a very long way to this very remote hospital that didn't have the facilities to actually test the samples that needed checking, and were able to fly it back to the main hospital and get that done. But I think actually probably what's more exciting even is, there are all kinds of other areas that are developing every single day. Even here on the stand today, I'm hearing people coming up with other ideas of things they want to do, be that in industry, such as, for example, using drones and AI to monitor the integrity of railway lines or the integrity of power cables. At the moment, if you think about it, in that industry, very often helicopters are used. So people are paying tens of thousands to fly helicopters at low level to take pictures of power cables. Drones are going to be able to do that autonomously. There are many, many more examples. It's really exciting. Yeah. One of the things I love about the industry.
Yeah, we spoke to someone earlier that was saying they used the drones to go and inspect down drain pipes.
That's it, yeah.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. You'll see some amazing technology, mines as well, similar kind of thing to the drain pipes. Certain drones are able to go down and 3D map a mine. They can use LiDAR to create a point cloud and drive it down the mine, and you end up with a full replica of the internal space. That happens in tanks and other industrial facilities, where otherwise you would either have to cut them open and potentially put people into enclosed spaces which have their own difficulties.
Yeah, you're removing humans from potentially dangerous environments as well.
Yeah, that's true, and I think this is one of the key things of drones. Drones are able to do some things that help us stay safe. Some simple examples, drones for roof surveys. In the past, you want to get your roof surveyed, you're going to have to get someone to come out with their ladder and climb on your roof. And look, I've seen this. I'm old enough to have seen it many times in the past. No, that's just not necessary. You can have a small drone that's inexpensive, that can do the job quickly and very, very safely. Takes that risk out of it. And I'm even seeing now, like fire services, for example, that are really keen to integrate drones into what they're doing because they realise the benefit of it. They straight away can see that this could save people's lives and also keep their own team safer while they're tackling the incident.
Absolutely. So how did you get into this industry? A lot of people that you would speak to in the industry are engineers and tech people that have designed drones. You've come from quite a different background to a lot of the people here, haven't you?
I guess so, yeah, in that, I had a background in aviation. I was an airline pilot for 30 years, believe it or not. And in fact, if I go back far enough, and I'm showing my age now, but I actually started out as a merchant Navy officer. I did that for a number of years. I was always interested in being an airline pilot, so I trained, and ultimately I flew for British Airways as a pilot for 30 years. I was a trainer, I was an examiner. I flew various aircraft, TriStars back in the very old days. Some of your viewers may be familiar with the TriStar. Fabulous airplane, high-tech in its day. But now I don't even know if there's anything left flying. But ultimately I finished flying the 747-400. I was very, very lucky to have the privilege of flying that pretty much up to just before it was retired from British Airways. But I had an interest anyhow in drones because I could see from early on that it was an exciting world to be in. It was something that's developing, and there were lots of new avenues and things to think about. So I actually went and educated before I left for the flying. I went and educated myself, did some courses, learnt about it. And because of my background at the time, the Aviation Authority here appointed me as an examiner in drones. So I ended up examining several hundred people across the country over a period of years. And that led on then ultimately to me creating my own business. And with my training background as an airline trainer, as a trainer and examiner within the airlines, that helped as well with the training side of what we do and led to our RTE approval with the Aviation Authority. So that's how I got into it. It's been great. Really enjoy it.
Fantastic. Well, we'll put the links on to the show notes where people can find you. But have you got any details of the website? Where can people find out more?
Yeah, we have a brand new website coming really shortly, and it'll be on www.uspaceaero.com.
Fantastic.
Love to hear from anybody. Everyone who wants to speak with me, I have a chat, feel free to give me a call, drop me an email. It'd be great to engage with everybody.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.
Now, what was really interesting for this, we were chatting about this. I can't get my cameras to go. Hang on, we'll keep trying.
That's fine.
There we go. That's all right. It's fine. You don't want to look at me anyway. We were talking about earlier in the video there. Actually, they're all called UAVs now, aren't they? That's
it's like a VTOL UAV.
Yeah, absolutely. But what John, you were saying actually, because one of the really interesting things about that is you've got like the flexibility, if you like, almost of the drone. Because you've got your 4 propellers in order, so you can basically pick it up and drop it off wherever you like. But of course, the wings give you a massive advantage in terms of having to travel distance, of course.
Yeah, the efficiency of being able to transition to forward flight on a wing is amazing, because then you're able to eliminate probably 4 motors or more that are being run just to lift it up, and now put that lift onto the wing, and you can use a relatively low amount of power to continue forward flight, and that conserves your battery power for down the road.
Yeah.
When you're going to come into, say, a spot landing at the far end, certainly for these drones that are being designed for carrying a load A to B, this is an ideal situation. It was a very interesting looking drone there with the motors fore and aft of the wing. Looked like maybe one on top of the aft fuselage there, where it would be able to come in, bring those motors online, slow down, go back to vertical to land, and then take back off again. But it takes a lot of power to do that lift. And once you get forward flight, you transition, especially as you get more and more lift, it goes to the wings. Then that's less power to have to be put by those 4 motors, and they can eventually be shut off, hopefully, and have a longer cruise flight. there's a YouTuber in the U.S. and internationally, Mark Rober, and he did a thing on drones from the company called Zipline, doing sort of the same thing. They had some long-range drones where they basically catapulted them off of literally a catapult launcher, like an aircraft carrier, and then on the far end they were just flying them into a net. But they were transitioning to a system where they had sort of a catapult launch, I think, still, but then they were able to hover, drop a payload down via a cable system, and then retrieve the carrier back up, and then take back off again, and travel relatively long distances at an efficient means with the wings. So it's interesting technology.
Definitely. Definitely. Very. As I say, it's. I mean, I think it's a brilliant technology.
I quite often look on eBay and I look at DJI, the DJI Mavic Pro. Is what I mean.
Yeah.
I think £500 or £600 or some of them are second hand on there, and I think, I really would love one. And then I just think to myself, I'm going to get that, and it's going to end up either hitting something very hard, i.e. the concrete, or I'll lose it in a field in the middle of nowhere.
I keep telling you, mine's a perfect one to learn with, because it'll essentially, you've only got to move it up and down. You don't have to fly it per se. Because it uses its own GPS and all that kind of thing to keep it in a certain location. So, you'll have to have a little go of my one to sort of warm yourself up with it and see how you get on.
I'll start saving some
No,
money.
because the blades are like £4 each, Carlos. I think you can afford that.
No, I'm talking about the whole unit.
Well, no, because it's only the blades that you're likely to break, frankly.
Okay.
Because it is pretty robust, even if it does fall from a thing, and it's got metal legs and stuff. So it's not gonna, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Oh, hello! Look at this table.
Oh,
service.
look at John.
Table service.
Oh.
Look at this.
My lovely ladies over here.
Yeah,
standing in the doorway. I'm gonna.
There we go. Hello, hi, ladies.
They say hi.
I like this. I like this table service. This is definitely the future.
Table service.
Absolutely, it's how it should be.
Oh,
I love it.
Get a little table service for all the stuff I buy them. So.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, very good. That's what we like to hear. Marvellous.
Oh, right. Moving on with the next part of the show. A firm favourite, I know, of some of you listeners out there, and it's our retro airline ad break of the week. Now, this week, we're going to go back to the 1970s to see just how Continental Airlines looked after its passengers.
Have we checked this for, appropriateness for this?
Oh, it's fine.
Okay, all right.
If you want to have fun, you can sit in a seat like this at the ballpark and watch the Dodgers in action. You'll be entertained. Here's another kind of a seat from a wide-bodied Continental Airlines DC-10. When you sit in it, you'll be entertained too, with exclusive specially condensed double feature films, plus short subjects in stereo, all at no extra cost. Of course, on Continental, you don't have to stay in your seat all the time to have a good time. You can get up and go into the only coach pub in the sky. In the pub, you can relax with friends, enjoy free popcorn, or play exciting electronic pub pong games. So whichever seat you choose, at the ballpark or on a Continental wide-body DC-10 to Chicago, Denver, or Houston, you'll have a good time. Either way, you've got a ringside seat for lots of fun and games.
On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
Ask about our DC-10, our pub flights.
I know, absolutely. I mean, I'm just saying that I think the thing that I enjoyed the most was the seats, because it reminded me of my early days of coach driving. They're very, very sort of similar there. I don't know where they found him for a start. I think John was suggesting while we were listening that perhaps he was a weatherman or something, because they dug him up from somewhere. And the headphone set, never mind these fancy headsets that we're all wearing now. They were basically stethoscopes. That's what they were.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah. The thing is, I know, and I'm not young. I wish I was. And I can still remember flying on an airliner with those style of headphones.
Oh, really?
Scary, I know.
What was the sound like, though?
It was
bad.
it was a bit monotone.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
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 You get a weird sound sometimes. I remember it would get like a weird whooshing sound to it sometimes, when there's like a leak somewhere around it. It would pick up the resonance in the tubes coming to you, and I mean, it worked. It was amazing. You're watching a movie while you're hurtling through the air at 500 miles an hour. But yeah, the audio quality was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, because back then on the DC-10 and on the L1011s as well, they had that three-color, the cinema, what they call them, John, the three-color.
The projectors.
Projectors.
Yeah. I think, actually, all jokes aside, I do think that Jester Senior has identified, saying he was the announcer at Dodgers Stadium for many years. There you go.
Oh, well, yeah, my dad would know that.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Love that.
He's a baseball person, so.
Nice indeed. Yeah. Love that.
Wrong team for him, but
no, but nevertheless, yeah, absolutely appreciate the insight. Thank you, John. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Yes, but more retro airline ads to come, obviously next week on the show. But moving on to it's Nev's favourite part of the show. He's going to be devastated he's missed this week.
He is, yeah, no, I know. I'm sure he'll be writing in with tears and all sorts going on.
Yeah, so Matt, could you press the button labelled Nev, please?
What's up, bogeys 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. Undersea boogie.
And the first story this week in the military news comes to us from Vintage Aviation News. And I should have got the pictures, trying to get the pictures from Matt, because this is honestly stunning. The Commemorative Air Force Gulf Coast Wing is a challenging year and a half after the loss of their Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress Texas Raiders and her crew back in November 2022. Despite these hardships, the unit decided to move forward with exciting plans which were announced to the membership via a newsletter. After consulting with their members, who overwhelmingly supported the idea, the Gulf Coast Wing leadership decided to add a new large aircraft to their fleet. As a consequence, the unit announced an interest in obtaining a AC-47 gunship. The Douglas AC-47 was the first fixed-wing gunship developed by the US Air Force during the Vietnam War. It was engineered to offer greater firepower than light and medium ground attack aircraft, particularly in situations where the ground forces needed close air support. Essentially, a standard Douglas C-47 converted to carry heavy weapons, including miniguns on the port side. The type was given several colourful nicknames by both US Air Force crews and US Air Force servicemen, such as Spooky and Puff the Magic Dragon. Later iterations of the gunship concept pioneered by the AC-47 included conversions of the Fairchild C-119 and Lockheed C-130, modern versions of which still serve with the US Air Force today. The Gulf Coast Wing decided to tell the story of the AC-47, and the unit's search led them to an exciting find: a C-47 already partially configured as an AC-47 located near Atlanta, Georgia, and appropriately named Spooky. The aircraft initially was transferred to the Navy as an R4D6 with the BU build number 50788 and left military service back in 1958. It was registered with the Federal Aviation Administration as N49, later holding registration as November 2006 Juliet and November 235 Golf Bravo with different owners. Eventually, it was acquired by the Lone Star Flight Museum in Texas as part of Rick Sharp's Vietnam War Flight Museum collection. And in July 2014, the Collings Foundation of Stowe, Massachusetts, acquired Spooky, and following an extensive overhaul, it completed its first post-overhaul flight on March the 29th, 2020. And I don't know whether you had the pictures there or not, Matt, but
afraid not. No.
a stunning piece of kit. The links will be in the show notes to that. And I'd have to say, John, I'd never heard of. Obviously, I've heard of the C-130, like the AC-130 gunship, but I'd never heard of the AC-47.
Luckily, I have. I mean, I'm obviously an airplane geek, and I read extensively about some of these aircraft that they converted like this. We had units they called air commandos that were flying these sort of non-standard aircraft into Vietnam. I had the scoutmaster, Mr. McCarthy, who was a Marine recon officer, and he says they sort of, remember his kid memory, so a little bit fuzzy, but he had basically called one of these in on his own position because they were being overrun, and they just wiped everybody out. He had carried a little chunk of a 30 caliber or whatever they were shooting out the miniguns back then. He had dug out of the ground because it just wiped everybody out. They just would mow the whole forest down when they would light it up. So these things flew all up and down the trail, interdicting the Viet Cong as they were moving supplies south. And they would see the lights, and they would just come over and start hammering them from above at night with these machine guns, miniguns, basically put on the AC-47s, and then they went up into different airframes, and eventually, C-130s were flying around with, miniguns, autocannons, and the 105 howitzers. So this was the start, though.
Yeah, I was lucky enough back before Armando retired from the US Air Force. I had a chance to have a tour on the base and was shown around the AC-130, which was quite an experience, I'm not going to lie, John. Obviously, we weren't allowed to take pictures on board, but got the chance to go on board the AC-130 over there at the base where Armando was stationed here in the UK.
Yeah, it's definitely something to see. I would, if you haven't heard of these aircraft, I would go look them up online. I'm sure you can find some good videos on YouTube. I know definitely the C-130s, and when they start firing these miniguns, there's like a laser beam coming down that kind of moves and curves because it's, all the tracer bullets, and it's only like every, fifth or maybe 10th round is a tracer, but it's a solid line of light. It's because it's firing 6,000 rounds a minute down into the ground. And on the case of most of these planes are firing like two of them simultaneously. So you're talking 12,000 rounds a minute, down onto the ground. Nothing's really going to survive that. And the C-130s, some of the videos I've seen from Afghanistan, they're firing those 105 howitzers, and they're literally chasing cars and people with this thing, and they're hitting them from 10,000 feet above with that 105 millimeter shell. So these things wreak havoc on the enemy. So it's great to see that they're gonna protect one of these and demonstrate and show everybody what it was, and let people experience it, because it's it's an important part of every battle and every war is to show what you had, what you did, how it worked, how people fought the war. So it's good to see.
Now, John, you've got the next story going up for an update over in Ukraine for this one.
Yeah, so this one comes from simpleflying.com. Denmark will allow Ukraine to fly its F-16s into Russia proper. Denmark has just stated that Ukraine can use its donated F-16 Falcons to fire into Russia proper. One of the biggest questions currently raging in the West is whether to permit Ukraine to use Western-supplied weapons to fire into Russia properly. The full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine is now well into its third year, and there seems to be no end in sight. However, the long-awaited arrival of retired European F-16s is imminent. The first Danish F-16 jets are expected to arrive in Ukraine this summer, while the first Norwegian jets will arrive in autumn. Ukraine's F-16s and striking Russia. On May 30th, the Kiev Post tweeted Denmark's support of Ukraine's right to strike military targets in Russia with its weapons. This was stated at an EU Foreign Affairs Council meeting by Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen. Denmark has pledged to donate 19 F-16s. Belgium has announced it will supply 30 F-16s to Ukraine between 2024 in 2028, bringing the total number of donated F-16s to around 85. The donation of 30 jets is the most F-16s of any country, but Belgium has added a condition that they should not be used to strike Russia proper. It's unclear whether Denmark or other Western countries permitting their jets and other weapons to be used against Russia when overflying its territory will be prompt Belgians to reverse their restrictions. This is one of those questions that's going to have to be really answered. It's a big political question, is, escalation of the war, and for Ukraine to fight, they're going to have to strike inside of Russia, and that requires them to be able to hit targets inside Russia, maybe potentially fly into Russia to strike those targets and affect the supply. If they're restricted to just over their own airspace, that's something we would never restrict ourselves to do. Any of the NATO countries, and doing that to Ukraine kind of is tying their hands behind their back, and I think that's probably not the right choice. And we've kind of been doing that by stringing out the supply of weapons to them. It only puts them at greater risk. And the question is, do they want Ukraine to win, or do they not want Ukraine to win? And that's a question for politics. Politicians, not, I'm not going to have any influence on it. So
no, definitely not.
You've flown a lot of aircraft, John, in your career and that. But have you ever had the chance or ever flown in a fighter jet?
I have sort of flown an F-16 in a simulator. I guess that's the only way I've done it. I had the opportunity to take some cadets to Luke Air Force Base, which used to be the schoolhouse for the F-16, and they had a simulator there where you had. You could almost look all the way around behind you, and all above you and stuff. And it was down. It was great fighting it. And they had G suits that you would wear, and the seat would inflate so that you knew you're pulling G's. You just didn't, obviously experience.
And I'm using my headset again. So
thumbs up.
Well, the iPad strikes again.
No, the headset's doing on its own this time. Sorry. Where did I cut off?
We're nearly there anyway.
Yeah.
No, I just wondered, John, that's all. I know because you've had a chance to fly so many aircraft, obviously, in that. And I don't think none of us would ever catch up to Armando's level of
type.
He's been a lot.
Yeah.
He's been a lot of different things. I reviewed his resume one time, and he said, well, this is everything I can show.
Okay, right.
And it was a lot of airplanes that I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these fighters, it's going to be a huge impact on their ability to fight and utilize more modern weapons, because we've been supplying them with modern weapons, but they've been firing some of these missiles with iPads strapped to the cockpit, which, wow, cool, but probably not ideal.
Well,
no. Moving on to the next exciting part of the show, which is obviously your chance to win a very nice bit of tech. Now, Matt, what's Nev offered up for this one for the?
Yeah, I'm going to pop some pictures up if you're watching on the YouTube thing. But if you're listening to the audio version, then what I want you to do is I want you to Google this incredible bit of kit. It's a bit of audio-visual kit that we are very excited to be able to offer to you, all thanks to Nev and the wonderful company that he works for and one of his many contacts. It's the fantastic Rode Video Micro Camera mic, complete with a muff. It can be used on a DSLR camera that has a 3.5 millimeter jack input, and the reviews and quality of this mic are literally out of this world. So what comes in the kit is basically a camera mount along with a sort of like a rubber housing for it. Also comes with an absolutely fantastic proper hardcore windproof muff. Now that when Nev's out doing various recordings and stuff, we've been doing interviews like at Duxford. I don't know if you remember, Carlos, obviously. So this is made of the same stuff that Nev has on his muff there. We're out in we're out on the windy plain that is essentially Duxford, and you're able to get crystal clear audio and all that kind of thing as it's sort of filtering it all out. It comes with the muff as part of the kit. It is a truly stunning piece of kit that anybody would want to get their hands on, and all you need to do to win it for free is answer this very simple question. What year did cockpit voice recorders, CVRs, have to be installed in commercial aircraft? What year did cockpit voice recorders have to be installed in commercial aircraft? All you have to do, answer that question in order to get your hands on that stunning prize. And if you would like to get your answers in, all you have to do is send it to this email address. It is, of course, podcast@planetalkinguk.com. The email address you need to send it in is podcast@planetalkinguk.com. While I'm there, I might as well do the socials as well, mightn't I? If you'd like to get in touch with the show in all sorts of ways, you want to follow the show, you can search your various social media platforms for Plane Talking UK, all as one word. You'll find it come up there. You can also get in touch with us via our website. That is www.planetalkinguk.com. Do need to do some updating on that, actually, because we've obviously had some changes of late. As I say, and just a final reminder, that email address again, it's podcast@planetalkinguk.com.
Yes, and John, you're not able to enter the draw, I'm sorry, because you've got the answer with the show notes there.
In front of you, yeah, absolutely, yes. Rats, he says. Yeah. Never.
You're on mute, John. You're on mute.
Oh, you're on mute. Probably his blooming headphones. Bless him. We'll leave him. We'll leave him.
No,
be,
I was saying I'd entered technically last week, but I didn't know. Yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
one less thing for me to carry around. So
yeah, absolutely, that's true. Nice bit of kit though, genuinely, and the sound quality from it is absolutely out of this world. So
yeah, if you actually Google this or look for it online, the reviews are really good. There's some really good reviews for this, so it's well.
And they're a lot of money as well.
Yeah. Indeed. So that's it. That's where we're going to wrap up the show. We're going to have a quick round robin with the limited team we have this evening, and of course our guest as well for tonight, John Jester. So, John, what's any plans for flying soon?
No, it's good.
Nice.
He's staying on terra firma.
Not until after next week's show. So ask me next week if you want to.
Okay, jolly good.
But yeah, I'm home with the kids. I got one kid off at camp for 2 nights. It's his last year in primary schools. They do a camp the last couple weeks of school, and I got one who's patiently being paranoid about her exam grades coming in, and the normal school stuff for the number 2 child. So I'm just trying to survive that whole process.
Don't envy them that. Definitely not.
No, it's more stressful here than it is in the States. It's way more stressful. So
yeah, absolutely. Carlos, what are you up to?
I'm gonna have a fairly quiet weekend this weekend. He says, with the beer festival coming up in our local village. And then Sunday, I'm going to be heading round to your establishment for some food and drink, which will be nice. We're looking forward to that.
Absolutely, yes.
Sunday.
And everything's been handmade, by the way. So even the burger's been made from scratch. They are made of 100% beef and pork. One that you'll turn your nose at. We've got pork. We've got beef and Stilton, which I know you'll go at.
That's unfortunate.
Indeed.
But yes,
there's some boring plain beef and onion ones as well. So there you go.
Well, it had the word plain in, so I'm sold.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah.
But I should be having a bit of a kind of a more relaxed. I'm in 2 minds whether to head to the beer festival Saturday or not. I must admit.
Yeah, end up in a bit of a mess. Yeah.
And for those who know me and who know who knows what I was up to this past weekend will know that I've gone off beer a bit for at least another 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, quite. Absolutely.
But yes, Matt, you'll be obviously entertaining us this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, so that's really
yeah.
all I have planned in the old schedule for this weekend, really. Yeah, and I suppose I better throw the lawnmower around. I suppose I ought to make a little
chuck
bit of an effort.
it around.
Yeah, chuck it around for a bit. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's all I have.
Excellent. So we'll say a big thanks to everyone who's joined us for the show tonight. Everyone in the YouTube chat room, thank you all for joining us tonight and taking time out of your Wednesday to join us on here. Next week, as we said, Nev will hopefully be back and he'll be announcing the winner of that prize. So don't forget to get your answers in for that as well. And we're also going to be having some more books to give away soon as well. So that's coming up very soon as well in the show. In future shows, so keep your ears and eyes open for that. So that's it for the show. Thanks to John again for joining us tonight. Last minute, John, you've done really well. Thanks for stepping in as a super sub as always.
No problem. Glad to be able to do it. At least you gave me a little bit more than an hour warning this time, and not the whole night. So.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. Have a good weekend, John, with the family. Enjoy yourself. And that's it. We'll see you all next Wednesday, 7 o'clock here on YouTube. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend as well. And take care. And, say goodbye, John.
Goodbye, John.
And there it was done.
There we go. We've muddled on again. We have.
Indeed.
We have, yes.
Indeed.
But, that was good. It's good.
I don't know if mine were all like this, but I'm doing something that only Carlos can normally get away with here.
Oh, is that a lap?
No. She looks horrified. Look, she's furious. She's absolutely.
Oh my word!
I am being petted, and I do not like it.
I am extremely unhappy. Yes.
Oh, look at her, bless. She's gorgeous.
You are gorgeous, aren't you?
She's the most fluffiest tiger-looking puss that you'd ever see. You should look at her. If you look at her face straight on, she's like one of those pedigree. Oh, what they call like the cats that are really large. What are they called?
Maine Coons.
Maine Coons.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the one. Maine Coons. Yeah. I swear she was like a half and half.
What are you doing? Oh.
Yeah, my first cat I had was we call him Socks because he had white socks like that. But he was more black, long hair, black with gray stripes underneath. It was kind of cool, but the black long hair kind of covered all the stripes up.
She's had enough.
Oh yeah, no, she lasted longer than I thought without attacking me. I'll be honest. Bless her. She hasn't left though. I mean, and this is a very different cat to the one Carlos. I mean, it's like Carlos is the only person who used to be able to get anywhere. Carlos and Mum, they were the only people who could go anywhere near her without being attacked. Basically,
give off that. Cat dad.
Oh, honestly, it used to be absolutely embarrassing whenever Carlos would turn up here because she would be like, "You're mine."
Gorgeous, bless her.
Yeah.
Our house we had before this one, the neighbor had a small kitten, and it would come over to our yard all the time, and it ended up being that I was just about the only person that could pick the cat up and hold it and like hold it up on its back and scratch her, and she'd like purr and drool and fall asleep on me. And the owner couldn't do any of that. She was kind of not happy with me about that. So,
John Jester, the cat whisperer.
Yeah, I had a couple cats, so
yeah.
Now I got a big Labrador that thinks he's a Labrador, so he wants to sit on my lap all the time.
Yeah, we used to have he was the size of a Labrador, but he had the look and the markings of like is it the Doberman, where they had the sort of like the black and gold, that sort of, was it Doberman? No, what am I thinking of? Anyway, bless him, but he would have given absolutely anything to have been Alfie's size and be a lapdog. He would have been so much happier if he'd have just been like half the size he was. Bless him. But
mine dog, when I come down in the morning, I'll take him for a walk, do his food, and I start working on like kid stuff, and then he comes over with usually a dinosaur or sometimes a turtle, stuffed animal, and it's like hitting the back of my leg all the time because he wants me to sit down on the floor so he can crawl on my lap for a while and get his attention for like 5-10 minutes, and then I can continue with my day. Yeah, exactly.
I have the same thing when I come home from work. The first thing that Alfie will do is he'll jump up on my lap and like climb all the way up so that he's like in my arm here, and then it's only 5 minutes. I'm only allowed 5 minutes, and then after that, that's enough. So he'll instigate it for about 5 minutes and then get bored, essentially, and then that's it, and then it's back to just sort of like only giving a monkeys about mum, basically. But for that brief 5 minutes, it's really nice.
Next time on Animal Talk UK.
Yeah, we've gone all aspects of.
We did the tech talk UK. Now we did plane talking, and now animal talk. So we're covering the bases.
Time to go, I think. Yes,
all inclusive.
Indeed, absolutely.
So,
John, thank you so much for joining us, John. Really,
absolute pleasure.
It. And
we better say goodbye to the chat room.
Yeah, who's going to have the last word?
John, I think, John, you should give the chat room your final words of wisdom and let them go.
Yeah, don't do drugs
no pressure.
or alcohol and get on airplanes and hit the flight attendant. That would be bad.
And always spade and neuter your pets.
Oh yeah.
What was that? Was it the presenter of Wheel of Fortune? Oh, Price is Right. That's right.
Price is Right. Yeah. And Bob Barker, that was his name.
Bob Barker, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. He was that was who you watched as a sick kid in the U.S. You would watch him at 11 o'clock.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, like it.
Because otherwise, it was like soap operas. So
no fair. Marvelous. All right then.
Anyways, pleasure.
Take care, everyone, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.